From the Watergate building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Amy Walter and John Mercurio.
Greetings all, and welcome to Hotline TV. I'm John Mercurio.
Well, I'm Amy Walter, and it's come to our attention, John, that we haven't done a poll since
Yeah.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So today we are, though, we're not scared. We're bringing back another edition. Poll watch.
We're not scared of you people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there are 3 different polls released yesterday showing John McCain up in South Carolina with Mike Huckabee trailing from 7 to 10 points. Romney falling. Amy, could this be Huck's last stand?
Very well could be.
Or will this be Huck Everlasting?
Huck Everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I've been very curious about in South Carolina. All right, so John McCain, who was very smart very early on to make this claim about dirty politics, and he's not going to get caught this time being swift-voted, or in the case of South Carolina, it was about allegations about an illegitimate black child, etc., came out on the offensive. But nobody's really done anything tough here. We heard that Fred Thompson, during that debate, remember he was like the attack dog in the debate? His ads, meanwhile, are soft and fuzzy. They're the same ads he ran in Iowa, talking about how he's not been an aggressor. Huckabee, yesterday, somebody in the Huckabee campaign quoted in the Brody file saying, no more fun and games now, we're going after McCain. It's Thursday, the election's Saturday.
Right.
Like if something's going to happen, it needs to happen now. So McCain only benefits, and Romney was still hoping, the reason he moved over to Nevada, he knew he couldn't win in South Carolina, and he wanted all those guys to get all mushed up and banged up, and they're not.
Well, they're not getting mushed up and banged up, that's true, but it is interesting that Romney has basically given up on South Carolina. You know, everybody sort of forgets that just 2 or 3 months ago, this was an important state for him. He traveled down there, he tried really hard to win over the political establishment of the state. Mark Sanford was really resistant to Romney, and I think that's because Sanford, having a much closer relationship with his party in his state, knew that it was going to be difficult for somebody like Romney unless he had this bang-up role in the early states. You know, it's interesting that you have John McCain, who's coming down here. For Romney, Michigan was personal. You know, this time it's personal in Michigan, and he was successful. For McCain, coming down to South Carolina, it's a very personal, it will be, or it would be if he wins, a very personal victory, and I think that that's certainly the way he's playing it. And I think to some extent that's creating some of the energy within the McCain camp that's helping to sort of propel his numbers up. But you're right. Look, I mean, he is up pretty big. He's up big in a couple polls, and not looking aside from the actual margin that he's opened up over Huckabee and Romney. If you look at the momentum, it is so clearly with him and with Huckabee and against Romney. So you know. Who knows what these polls mean? We certainly learned in New Hampshire not to pay any attention to them. At least half of the people in at least one of these polls saying they could change their mind before Saturday, and a third of them saying that they're still undecided. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think that for Huckabee, a guy who, this is a primary that was supposed to be tailor-made for him, right? Evangelicals, Southern governor, all of this was supposed to make this an obvious relaunching point after Iowa. I don't know what he does after here, especially, and we're going to look at the numbers here to see how well he does among evangelicals. I mean, he hasn't even carried evangelicals when Thompson hasn't been a factor. He didn't carry him in Michigan. He didn't carry him in New Hampshire. Now, he might be splitting it with Thompson, but he really hasn't dominated there the way he thought. The populism message isn't really catching. I just think his ceiling is become clearer and clearer with every.
And if Huckabee is looking into the future, if he's looking to a 2012, potentially a 2012 presidential campaign, if he feels like he's established himself enough on the national landscape that he could do that, he's going to want to get out before February 5th. Because if he does take a drubbing in 22 states, that's going to make it difficult, I think, for him to sort of reestablish any credibility. On the other hand, I think he enjoys the campaign. Unlike Fred Thompson, who I can imagine the day after South Carolina, Sunday morning, saying, all right, I took 4th place in South Carolina, can we just call this a day, can be done? I haven't enjoyed 1 minute of this thing and I want to be done. I think Huckabee is sort of weighing the possibility that the more he's out there, the more he establishes a network around the country, the more free media he gets, and the more he's able to raise his profile. So, you know, I think he's weighing a bunch of different criteria.
Including maybe VP.
Very.
See, maybe that's the reason he's holding his fire.
VP, very possible.
Okay.
Get it, VP? But I guess we'll have to find out what happens. I guess we will find out what happens soon enough. Until then, I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Amy Walter. Thanks for watching.